San Francisco conference, the San Francisco World Testing, whatever, I get the names mixed up. I had the right to do that when I get to be 80 years old. But the result was that we were given a double gold medal. Now let me tell you what a double gold medal consists of. They have 1,400 or so entries into this competition. They have 35 judges. And in order to get a double gold, every judge that tests your product has to agree that it's a gold medal. We got a double gold. There are only 9 of these that were granted this year, at least in the spirits area that we're giving them. Now, I just heard today or yesterday that another testing institution called 66 Proof, 66 Proof again awarded us a ranking of the #1 vodka in the world, and we were ranked as 7th best vodka in the whole world. Now, and there are thousands of vodkas, believe me. You know, when you go into the liquor store, that looks like all they have. Now, here again, I'm pleased to talk about our success, but I want to point out that there's some thinking out of the box occurred here in order to get us to do this. And let me tell you what our thinking is for the future. We hope to produce a whiskey, probably starting off with we have a trademark the name of Mountain Man. Probably have it called Mountain Man Moonshine. This would be a white whiskey to start with. But that's a potential for expansion of our product. We're thinking in terms of having flavored vodkas and also of aged whiskeys. All of these things we hope to do in the future. We hope to be a national concern. Let me give you an example of how this could help the economy. Tito vodka, maybe a few that drink vodka may know what Tito is, but Tito is made in Tennessee, in Texas, out of corn. It's not the same product of ours, but it's a very nice flavored vodka. Tito vodka in 2003 or so sold about 1,000 cases a year, which is about what we are today. Last year they sold $42 million worth of vodka nationwide. Think what that could do for the economy here, because we could employ a lot of people. Not only that, but look at the tourism reputation that it gets. This goes on every day. This afternoon at 5 o'clock, we got a call from somebody who wanted to bring 4 people over for a tour. You know, this is interesting, and anybody here who wants to take a look, we're very glad to have you come and take a look at what we're doing and how we're doing. And it's small now, you know. We only have one small building. All of you know what it looks like. The newspaper article said that the commissioners approved the distillery and turned down a church. So, because I was anyhow, I think the church did eventually. But my thoughts, let me give you another example of what could be done. We can't do all this ourselves. This relates to the city of Riggs, too. We were in Butte, Montana, I guess a week ago, because we're now in 5 states, including Montana, Oregon, Arkansas, and these 2 states here. And we've only been in business, really, producing, you know, bear in mind, since last September. So we're not even a year old in the production process. But we went into this is permitted in every state that we know of, in Utah included, where you can have in a distillery, you can have tastings, and then you can actually sell your product. Well, we brought this to attention of the legislature this year and didn't get very far on the tastings part of it. But the state liquor control people have already approved us selling our product, only our product, on our premises, and that will be in effect in May. The regulations of that are all being crafted, and it was able to do that within the confines and framework of the existing laws. What we wanted to have, though, tastings, you know, where we would give a half ounce of our product to anyone who came in and they wanted to see what it tastes like. Well, we had 4 or 5 votes on the State Affairs Committee. Actually, I was looking to Mark Gibbs to try to help us, and he didn't come through to the extent that I had hoped that he would. But and you know, his part of had a very old bar in this building downtown in Butte, a very ancient cowboy-type looking bar, really attractive, mirrors behind it and so forth. And they gave free samples, but you can also buy the product there. You can buy it, and you can actually get it by liquor by the drink. This would be, this tourism, look, people are coming to see us with just our sign out front. But how much more would they enjoy, say, going into Griggs somewhere and having a little place where they get samples of our product, free samples of it, and buy a drink or buy a bottle, whatever. Or they can go to the liquor store and buy the bottle. Or they can go up to the distillery and buy the bottle. But that's, again, thinking ahead of what can we do here in this valley to try to make it more attractive for tourism, which has a huge potential here for the future. I think that we need to think in those terms, both in the city and the commissioners, and come up with ideas on how can we do something that's attractive and will get people to stop. We're on the scenic loop. That's one of the 10 best in the West, and the views here. I can't get over it. The properties across the mountain, we had anything like some of the views that we have, or the view from our house. How much would it be worth? I mean, how many millions of dollars would 5 acres or 10 acres be worth? And to sell for that across the mountain. Obviously your comprehensive plan and intelligent plan. I am a lawyer, and I am a land use lawyer. As a matter of fact, I represented companies like Marriott Corporation and major developers in the Washington area. So I have some background in that area, and I support intelligent planning, but it has to be intelligent too. I don't want to get off into that. I'm speaking too long and I'm rambling. But what I really wanted to say was that I think that we need to think out of the box. What sort of activities can we have here that will attract people to stop and visit the community and enjoy it? We're going to do our part on our vodka business, and we're not offensive. We don't have any odors. You go in, it smells nice inside. Nothing goes to waste. Everything that's left over goes to feed cattle here in the valley, and the ranchers are pleased to have that. And of course the vodka we sell, and even the first part of it we took off our heads. We've now bottled that, and that's denatured alcohol, and we haven't had much success with selling it, but it's very, very good. For little alcohol stoves and things like that. We have one in our facility, and that's another idea. If somebody wanted to sell those, we'd be glad to cooperate. And but that's another business, a little small business that could be done here in the valley. Just have to think about what can we do that makes sense. That was our whole thought process. What can we do that's different, that does not involve in things that are not doing well here? And there's some potential for that. Taking a lot of time, but thanks.
And I'm really glad you guys are doing this evening. I would like you guys to do it more. I think it's a fabulous opportunity for the community to come in and engage in some lively conversation. And I have some of the things. I have Mark I'd like to say. I have a vacation rental in Driggs. We live in Driggs, and I'd like to say we are busier than we have ever been. And so I've been hearing some people say that nobody's coming and everything's way down low, but we have lots of people staying in our vacation rental. As well as I've also heard people say about impact fees and different fees along with starting businesses. I'm not sure of the current terminology, but I am not sure if this is congruent, but I know that when we were in the boom and we had a lot of development and that there were not a lot of impact fees, that I felt like our county was really we were not able to take advantage of some of that and use money to put in a sidewalk or put in a new road or towards schools or, all those things that make a community a better place. And so I'm not sure if some of those things that people were saying was just a direct business in the city or more development, but I would like to say that I support whatever terminology that's called. Yeah. And because I live on 5th Street and the little sidewalk that went in there last year, I am so happy to see so many people walking and riding their bike, and I feel like it really adds a sense of community, as well as I used to live on Little Avenue when it was like, a disaster area before they fixed it up. And even after that, I use that sidewalk every day. I always pass people. I see kids riding their bikes up and down. So anyway, these types of things I feel like really add to our community, to the sense of community, as well as bringing safe pathways into the city to spend money and to make it a more lively place. I support the light ordinance. I was on the committee. I don't think we should turn off all our lights, but I think we should have we talked about a domed light, so it's basically so that light isn't shining out. When I drive down Middle Avenue at the night, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even see because it's shining in my eyes. It doesn't need to shine out, it needs to go down. So I feel like that's the important part of the light ordinance. And I was reading in the newspaper the other day, and I would like to note that if this is true, it was saying that you do not read the newspaper.
I don't read it page word for word. There are times I have. I'll go through it and read it, but I don't read. I'm happy to listen to the community, but to be honest with you, I feel like I've been drugged through the ringer for the last 2 or 3 months. Because I don't feel like that I've gone to the extreme that the county, or not the county, but the papers and some of the people that are writing the letters. I don't feel like I have. I feel like I think it's been a little bit unfair. Over the last several years, there's been, people are used to getting pretty much whatever they want, and now I'm willing to compromise to a certain extent, but there is no compromise. When I bring up an idea or something that I feel like would be fair to a majority of the people aren't willing to compromise. So that makes me feel like that if I bring up a direction that I think would be, that's been a little bit maybe neglected or something like that, I get hammered over it, when in fact, a certain group, a good chunk of the residents of this valley have been neglected, or they feel like they have been over the past several years, and I think it's unfair.
It's okay, Sid. Some good information in that newspaper, and that would just make me happy. And I could just come over and read it to you if you want me to, but I just find that I learn a lot from many different sides, and it's okay not to read it every word for word. I certainly don't, but I think it is good to read a little bit of the newspaper.
I can assure you that I do read a little bit of it.
Okay.
This has been a pretty eye-opening experience for me over the past few months, and I feel like, I'm in the spotlight. The papers are they're writing every word that I say. Some things, when I say it, it might come out, and it might not come out exactly as I mean it. But they're sitting here recording me, writing me down, in a different context sometimes. Like I said, you can only sit there and get bashed in the paper for so long before, I don't want, I hear the message, okay, I do hear the message in the paper, okay. I also hear the message from the emails, from phone calls, from passing people on the street, talking to them. I hear the message in the paper, and when I say that I don't read the papers, when I said that, I mean, I guess I take it literally. Every word that comes out of my mouth is exactly. I mean, I get cut no slack. Okay, so I mean, if you can't cut me a little bit of slack on the context, or sometimes when I said the papers aren't 100% accurate, then the next time in the paper it comes out that says the papers are inaccurate or are not accurate. When I say they're not 100% accurate, I'm saying the context could be different. They can. Am I making sense here? Am I just babbling? Do you understand where I'm coming from?
I hear you.
I feel like I just want. I'll be general here for just a second. When we talk about land use, I'm not a go let everybody have whatever they want to do with their property. No regulation. I'm not like that. I'm not. I think you'll see we've got 10 or 11 applications for a planner that we got today, and there are some excellent applicants in it. I haven't had time to really look over, but we're not going to hire somebody that doesn't have experience in planning, in land use. I can assure you of that. There is going to be planning in this community. Do I feel like, and there's going to be give and take. There's going to be compromise. I can promise you that whatever comes out of this, not everybody that's sitting over here is going to get whatever they want. But not everybody sitting over here is going to get everything they want to. And I feel like, if we could compromise a little bit, come to the center, which is maybe not possible. I've also come to that conclusion, that there might not be any middle ground here. I was hopeful that there was some middle ground. There might not be any. I haven't seen that opportunity for middle ground yet. Okay? But if somebody's willing to compromise, I'm willing to compromise. And I just feel like I've been a little bit maybe I don't know, not treated unfairly in the paper. So that's when I say I don't read the papers. It doesn't mean I do. I hear the messages. I know what's in that paper, but I might not read them word for word because it's the same message. So when I say that, that's what I say. I mean, I know what's in that paper. I can promise you that. I hear it loud and clear. Is that? Ask me a question. I want to. What?
No, I was just trying to think of the other things that I had, but I can't remember now.
I have a question. Who are the people renting your place? Are they just weekend
It's
skiers?
amazing.
Or
I always think that it's people that should be coming. We live a block away from the shuttle to ski, but we've had a handful. Somebody was just in. We have people coming from New Zealand. Somebody was just in from New Zealand, Australia, and Portland, and I think just all over. I always thought it would be more people like from Pocatello or more locally who are driving up, but there's a lot of people that are on like a cross-country trip that are stopping through here, and they're stopping in Driggs. And but in the summer, we're almost totally booked for the whole summer, which I find amazing. In this whole off season, we've had a lot of people, which in past years we have not at all.
So it's looking better as well.
Or
good.
For our situation, and I think it's with us being in town, people are able to walk into Driggs and spend more money as opposed to like driving and maybe spending money, from like out of town. So. Any other questions for me?
Okay.
Kitchener Head. I'm going to make some comments related to what you're talking about, Sid. The stories, the letters that have been in the newspaper have been nasty to me. But I don't care about that. What drives me is the snide, malicious, sarcastic things that the newspaper reporters have been using to describe what Sid does. It's not the letters to the editor. They got a right to say anything they want. I've written one or two myself. But when the newspaper reporters make nasty, snide comments in their reporting, my dear, then I really take exception to that. You're doing a good job, all of you, Kathy. You're doing a good job, but your job isn't to bow down and compromise to people that want to take away our rights. We've got to get back to basics. Sid, I know you know it's in the newspapers, probably even more than most people here. What you said was just fine with me. And I don't blame you one bit for having that attitude, because it's engendered by the people who are doing the reporting. Thank you.
My name's Jennifer Harder. I live in Victor, rural Victor. What frustrates me about living here, I moved up here from Idaho Falls, and anyone who's driven 17th Street knows that they have a planning problem in Idaho Falls. I used to commute 17th Street in Idaho Falls to work. It's a nightmare. We wanted to buy horse property down there. Well, there's not a lot of horse property left in Idaho Falls. In my opinion, poor planning has kind of ruined that town. So we moved up here. I love this town, this community of Sally. Most of my friends and my husband are involved in construction, so obviously the economic downturn has hit our family. My house is deeply underwater. So planning is important to me for lots of different reasons, because it employs my husband, my friends, and as someone that commutes to Jackson for most of my income, I don't want to commute to Jackson. I want to live and work in this community. It bothers me the us and them mentality, the cowboys versus the bike riders. Well, I'm both. So, and there's lots of us that are both. So I think most of us do have a common ground in this community. This divisiveness that persists is frustrating to those of us who do want to live and work on this side. Let's work together as a community, build up sensibly, and get on the same page so that we can all thrive here. And I think ultimately that's what most of us, I imagine that's why you guys are donating your time as politicians, and that's why all of us are in this room. I think we need to find a balance and stop the divisiveness. And we're not going to solve the global economic crisis, but we can at least start planning our valley and working together as a community instead of dividing us all the time. Reading the newspaper can be depressing here. I often find myself not reading it because it's like the us and them is getting old. So let's start working together and make this community what it can be for all of us. Thank you.
Jennifer. How long have you been living here, Jennifer?
Since 2006.
Great. And your kids are in the school system?
No, I don't have any kids in the school system, but I volunteer at the school system. The school system is important to me. I'm a mental health counselor, so I'm starting private practice on this side of the hill, so it's important for me to have a good community here of people. Sustainable growth is important, and I think most of us realize that. All of us think we need some construction, but I also didn't want 9 houses right across the street from me, which was planned out. That's what's supposed to happen right across the street from me in 3 acres. As a homeowner, that was kind of a bummer. I didn't, move to a rural area to have 9 houses built across the street from me. Luckily, that subdivision went under, along with a lot of them on my street. And, finding that balance so that we don't have, such dense growth going on Would be nice. I mean, most of us do want to live and work on the same side of the hill. Of course we do.
And you're living here in town, or is this?
I live in rural Victor on 1000 East. My husband was a carpenter. Now he works at the Lynn Ranch, which is almost totally based in tourism and people coming up to have their weddings, and they keep him employed most of the year. And you know, I want to work over here on this side of the hill most of the year too. Most people I know don't want to drive to Jackson, so let's work together to make this a sustainable community. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
My name is Carol Johnson, and I've lived here for 73 years. It's just been the last couple of months that I finally decided that I voice my opinions. And there's a good share of the rural people here are just like me. They haven't got up and they haven't voiced their opinions. So consequently, there's a group of people that have accomplished and pretty well got their way in everything they've wanted. Maybe I'm making this, I'm willing to share and to do things, but I don't believe they should take rights away from me. I am so grateful. In the newspaper, once again, I'm just like you. When I get to put that newspaper down, especially last week, I was ready to fight. We finally, these people who lived here in this community originally have maybe got a little voice now. The first time in years we've got a voice. We haven't had a voice for a long time. We welcomed you people. We welcomed all these newcomers. Some of them are wonderful, but some of them want to change everything. They want to take rights away from us. They want to be able to go onto our property and do whatever they want. That isn't right. My father bought a ranch for $3,000, 160 acres for $3,000, and worked his tail off to pay for it. A lot of people don't understand this. It's a different world today. I am willing to make compromises, but I would like my voice heard. And right now, I think I have a young man over here. I have some people that are listening just a little bit to the rural people. I look around, well, 3 or 4 of the original people. They're just like I'm telling you. They're not coming and they're not voicing their opinion. Major landowners in our community, they're not voicing their opinion. If Sid goes and talks to them, they'll talk to him. But they're not coming out. They're not writing these letters to the paper. They're not doing this. And I guess I said it. See you, folks.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Fletcher White. I live in Victor. I actually live up on Pine Creek, but I have a business in Victor. I moved here in '88, so I've been here a little while. I've been involved in recreation, real estate, unfortunately, and now e-commerce. I'm going to try to kind of weave these together so you understand. I started guiding in '88. In 2000, I actually put an investment group together and bought the fishing company I worked for out of Jackson. It was Bressler Outfitters. I think some of you in this community know the Bressler family. I, from living over here, wanted the operation to be over here primarily. So I invested in real estate, I invested in buildings, I invested in infrastructure, and I built what turned out to be a very successful business here. Some people tonight have said our economy is in the trash, that things aren't getting better. I know for a fact that that business has been having 2 to 3 of its best years it's ever had the last 3 years. As part of that, I started to get into real estate. It seemed like a natural fit. A lot of our customers coming into Teton Springs, where one of our locations was, wanted to buy. People had the same appreciation for this valley that we have. So we got into that. Like I said, unfortunately, we ended up not doing so great in it after a while. But it was very valuable experience in my life, because what happened here in this community, from lack of regulation, from lack of control, is what drove the real estate market here, not the rest of the company. country to fail. There was too much supply when there wasn't enough demand. And I implore you to think about that as you move forward. It's a very simple rule, supply and demand. I'm sure you've all heard it many times. If you don't limit supply, there is no demand. And value, less supply, more value. So after going through and losing almost everything in my life in the real estate market, I said, you know what, I still believe in this community. Instead of leaving, I put another investment group together and I started a new company called ProValue. So we started this company 2 years ago with 2 of us. Today we just hired our 13th employee. I've tried to hire a lot more employees than that. People who understand technology, people who understand commerce, people who understand operations, people who understand global market, because that's what our business is based on. It's not based on the local economy. So I've been interviewing people from Houston, Austin, all the cities in California, New York, places in Florida. And when we actually fly people to this community, it's been interesting to watch the reaction. And I'm just going to tell you some of the comments that we get from these people. It's a beautiful place. Why is there so much trash along all the roads? Why are there so many old cars in people's yards that you can see? Why are the streets so beat up? And then, if there are people with families that have kids that want to go in the school system and they start asking around, they're not exactly impressed. So, it's a struggle. And I'm not going to move the business from here. I have a personal goal to be the largest employer in this valley in 5 years. And I will succeed, but it will not be easy unless you guys help me. Now, I want to say something else that's very important to me. I want to pay taxes. I want my kids to walk down the street in Victor. I want the roads plowed. I want my road graded 2 to 3 to 4 times a year. And I want to pay for that. I want to know when I write you a check that it goes to making my life better here. Because if my life's better here, when I want to hire more people and grow my business, they'll recognize the same thing. So forget the country, forget the state. Let's focus on here. Let's make this a better place. I'm a small businessman. I want to be a big businessman. I want to be here and I want to employ a lot of people in this community. So help me do it. Thank you.
Anybody else? We got. Yes.
Hi, I'm Sandy Walters. We have a house on State Line Road. We also have a home in Florida. We're here about half the time, so I haven't heard anybody else say that they're in that particular lifestyle. We love it here in Teton County. We love Driggs. Our hearts are here. We're invested here. We don't just come to ski. We come in the summer as well. And we support every single nonprofit we can. When we see anything in the paper that says, come here and support this nonprofit, we do it. The reason we bought the house where we did is because of the view of the Tetons and because we could ride our bicycles into Driggs, which we thought was just the most neatest little place we had ever seen, and we still think that after 5 years. I'm into land use. That's my thing in Florida. I wrote this book about a land use struggle, and subtitle is How Ordinary People Took on Government. I'm one of the ordinary people who took on government, but I'm not going to take on you guys. I don't know enough about it. I know, though, that I know the comp plan process went on for a very long time. I got emails from every group that I ever even walked by their door of. I read about it in the paper. The comp plan process in Florida is quite different, as near as I can tell, because it's very ingrained in state statutes, and it has been since 1985. So our comp plans, there isn't any waffling or maybe or when will we implement it. You have no choice. The problems come about when people want to change the comp plan, and that's what this story was about. It was, just in summary, a 40-acre plot of land that was, the land use on it was 1 per acre, but the owners wanted to change to 12 per acre. Now, they might have said that was their right, but it wasn't their right because they had a one residence per acre right under the comp plan. So we fought for 11 years 9 years and 11 public hearings and went to the state 3 times. We actually ended up keeping the land use as it was supposed to have been under the law. And when the owners realized after so many lawyer fees that they paid and so much aggravation that they were not going to up their density, they sold it to the city and county, and it's now a park, and there's a handicapped children's playground on it, the only one in our whole county. So I wrote a book because of that happy ending. So don't you want to implement your comp plan so you can fight about changing it like they do in Florida? I'm just being facetious. I really would like to see this comp plan go into effect. There may be problems down the line, and I don't know what the procedure is for changing it here or in Idaho. I know very well what it is in Florida. That's my 2 cents on that. But also, I want to thank you for being here tonight. This is not anything I have ever experienced in Florida, maybe because the county has 500,000 people in it. You couldn't do this, but we can do this here, and it's really nice. I would like to get to know everybody here. Kathy, I think you're my person out there where we live on State Line. We were neighbors of the bosses until they moved away, so they...
You on the Wyoming side?
No, we're on Idaho. No, I'm yours. We're all yours. We pay taxes to here, to Teton County, and that's fine with us. We want to help and we want to be part of it, and I would move here full-time if I could, but I have a husband to convince. Anyway, thank you for doing this.
How do you like, Sandy, how do you like your bike ride into town with the new road on the ski hill?
It's fine. It's on the way back. It gets pretty dang strenuous coming up State Line Road, but I can handle it. I cross country ski a lot. We have passes. We just support everything we can support, and we're very glad to do it.
Thanks.
Was there a sign-up sheet?
No.
Just checking. I'm used to the sign-up sheet. Thank you for having this tonight. I think that this is a neat, free-flowing type of public engagement event. So it's been more entertaining than I thought it would be too. And I'm here on behalf of VARD tonight. I'm the program director, and I've spent a lot of years now with you, Kelly and Kathy. And I wear a lot of hats at my job, and one of my newest hats is I recently became a mother, and that's put a whole new spin on how I see the future of the valley, and I think it's I'm appreciative of it. I'd like to explain to you another hat that I've worn, and that was as a member of the Economic Development Subcommittee for the Comprehensive Plan, because I'd like to share my experience through that process. The county launched the comp plan 3 years ago in May of 2010. It's really been a long haul. And I attended a lot of the public engagement events, the block parties and the open houses, and I went and got some numbers from the planning office, and this is just to refresh your memory, but also for the audience. During the entire comprehensive plan process, the county, you collected 4,000 public comments, public inputs, which is fantastic. I mean, that is such a huge amount of public input. You had 60 different citizens like myself serving on different committees from all different walks of life. And we contributed over 1,800 volunteer hours to that effort. Free volunteer hours, putting in our time. And we came up with a product that was a draft comprehensive plan. And I won't say it was easy. There were debates in my committee. But I actually found it to be very rewarding having a committee of people who really don't all think alike at all, and you have to find ways to communicate with each other and get to the root of some of the issues that you're most concerned about. In our committee, that would have been economic development. The finished product that we all put together passed through the reviews of all the comprehensive plan citizen committees. It was unanimously recommended for approval by the bipartisan Planning and Zoning Commission. And then it was unanimously approved by a bipartisan Board of County Commissioners. And I thought that was a tremendous achievement. And having read a lot of comprehensive plans from a lot of other communities that people say are so great, I thought they read like stereo instructions and were really dense and boring and they didn't have any personality. And I feel like the plan that this community put together has a real life to it. It has a lot of hope and it has a lot of inspiration. And that's why I wasn't surprised to learn that it won the Outstanding Public Outreach Award by the American Planning Association. I mean, that just capstones it right there. And I think that that really highlights how much community input and investment went into this. And I would really encourage you, before you consider doing any further work to refine the plan, to realize the scope of that public involvement and that it's one giant compromise. Nobody got everything that they wanted. I mean, there's things that I wanted to see in there that were out the first day. And that's the point of it. It's a giant compromise. And I think one of the biggest benefits of the plan is that I think it will give investors confidence in our valley because we have picked ourselves up by our bootstraps. We've developed a roadmap to our future, and we've decided what we want to be when we grow up. And I think that that's the kind of thing that when you're a businessman looking to move here and you're looking to see what a community has, it shows that it's a community that's organized. And I think that's stability. And so I would encourage you to please move forward with implementing the plan. And just to give an example of what good planning can do with incentives, it doesn't all have to be heavy-handed. There are a lot of incentives written into the plan. Earlier tonight, you folks were talking about impact fees. Well, the county has impact fees, Driggs has impact fees. Driggs has found little ways to use their impact fees as an incentive to driving growth into the cities. Within the downtown core of Driggs, they've waived impact fees. You don't have to pay them. They're paid through the Urban Renewal District. The sewer hookups are paid for. If you want to come in and locate downtown Driggs, those things are going to get paid for you. You don't have to pay them. And the idea behind that is driving growth in the city where you want it to be, getting that core filled in. And I look at like the comp plan, and there are those types of incentives as well. There was a lot of discussion about how to improve zoning for large landowners, how to help people who make their living in agriculture have incentives for passing land on to their children, how to make that process easy. So there's a lot of ways that the comp plan, it's not just about heavy-handed regulation, it's about making people's zoning work for them and give them the options that they want. Because right now, one of the struggles in the county is we've had such unpredictable zoning that allows somebody to have 9 houses go across the street from them. And so I think that there's so much good to be had from the plan. So I would encourage you to please move forward with it. Thank you.
Chris.
So, I'm Chris Riggs. I have a lot of concern over the comp plan, and just so that I probably said this before the comp plan was passed, and in case there's people here that didn't hear it, I probably need to say it again, because I felt like, and from letters that have been written in the paper, there's been this idea that there's been just kind of this indication that it was just, everybody's just been so happy the last few years, and that the county has gone on quite smoothly for the last few years, and there's been a lot of us that have not felt that way. There's been a lot of us that have not felt that way, and have not felt like the county has just run smoothly for the last 2 years. And there's been a lot of us who have been to these meetings and have spoke out against the comp plan and have not liked exactly what was going into the comp plan and have felt like the comp plan would have passed a year before it did because it was going to pass regardless. And I was one of them. I felt that way. I felt like it was a foregone conclusion. The comp plan was going to pass. So, I mean, I felt like we went and we talked and we said what we wanted to say. We felt like things needed to be different in it, and we were not there. We just weren't being listened to. I was called by the paper. I was asked how I felt about the comp plan, and I
told the paper exactly that I felt like there was nothing in the new comp plan good for the ag industry or for large landowners or even possibly for any landowner. And when the paper came out, it did not say that. And I know that several of my neighbors said that same thing, and that is not what came out in the paper. And so I was surprised by what came out in the paper. And I don't know if they just didn't hear what I was saying or if they just didn't want to print what I was saying. But, so that discourages me about, about what you say to the paper. So, I don't know exactly what their reasoning for. I feel like when the last person just got up, I feel like maybe he wasn't listening, or she wasn't listening to this gal that got up from Victor, because she got up and said, we bought our however many little acres and we wanted a little horse pasture thing, and we got it, and yeah, somebody right next to us had a development, and they tried to put 9 lots right there, and luckily it wasn't successful. And yeah, I agree, luckily it wasn't successful, because I wouldn't want that either. But that is not why people are coming here. They are not coming here because they want to build in town. Most people are not coming here because they want to build in town. They are coming here because they want 3 acres or whatever outside of town, and they want their little horse pasture. And I can guarantee you that's the truth. They are not coming because they want a 1/4 acre in town or an apartment in town, or you're saying that it's beautiful, and that's why they're here. And if you look at most of the new people that are out here, they have their 20 acres right out in the middle of some beautiful spot, and they've got it, and they want it, and they don't want anybody else to have it now. And that's the problem. And I don't know the answer. I know that we need I know that we need planning, and I agree that we do. But it's going to have to be some kind of a compromise. And I am a farmer, and I don't want to sell 20 acres out in the middle of my farm. I don't have any intention of doing that. But somehow we got to be reasonable, and we got to not plan on the only development being an apartment in Driggs, because you are saying we don't want any more people coming here, and if you're asking for people to have jobs, you are not going to get anybody that you want, I don't think. Anyway, I just had to say my feelings, and that's how I feel. And I think there is a lot of people behind me. There's a lot of people who feel like they were not listened to, and a lot of people who felt like this comprehensive plan was pushed through too fast, and a lot of people who feel like it is vague. I mean, right now, the devil is in the details. The code and however it is implemented is going to be a killer. It is going to be very, very important. And so, I mean, it is vague. You can look at it, and it all looks just fine right now. But it is how it's going to be interpreted that is going to kill us all, and it's going to be very damaging to a landowner or a property owner, and so for us it is very scary. Thank you.
It's time. I'm going to 8:30, Doc, sorry, and we're past that, and I want to say this was very impressive, and it was a lot less stressful than I thought. And I'll have to say I'm proud of this community to come out and voice their opinion like this, because it helps us, develop a group amongst the 3 of us to come up with the correct. And it's hard.
I would just like to clarify for everybody one thing. The next town hall meeting will be Monday, June 24th at 7 to 8:30, same time. And just in case there's any misunderstanding, there are no minutes
from this. We did digitally record it, and we will put it on the website so that people can listen to it, but there are no formal minutes because there was no deliberation. This was not a public meeting of the Board of County Commissioners with any discussion. So don't look for any minutes.
Thanks, everybody. Sign up sheet next time.
Oh my God.